Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back to We Weren't Friends in High School, the podcast where I reunite with high school classmates from my graduating class of Wissahickon High School in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm Brad Corbett, class of 2001. Thanks for everyone checking out the two-parter with Ryan Dunn over the Christmas holiday. If you haven't gotten a chance to listen to it, go back and check it out. It's in the archives, and 2 episodes. Just great, well-rounded conversation. There I go again, well-rounded. We hit a lot of topics, guys. Anything from high school, clubs, activities, things like that, and all the way to today with, what's going on with Ryan now and his path through college and career-wise and his marriage and his new daughter. So go check those out if you missed them over the holiday. They are there for you. Now that the holidays are over, I'm trying to get back on this grind here of all things work and media and podcast related. So some things coming down the road. This week, my guest is Suzie Spinelli, aka Suzie Mullett, when we knew her in high school. Suzie is someone that, and I tell her, I thought was like a cool kid. I thought was one of the more popular people, not because I heard things about her, but because she was blonde and blue eyes and had a twin sister. And I think me being obsessed with teen high school shows, that was kind of like the prototype for the main character, right? I even say it in here, Sweet Valley High was like a knockoff TV show in the 90s with 2 blonde twin sisters. She wasn't my friend, and so I didn't really know her in high school. But in my head, the stereotype that I placed upon her was that of one of the coolest girls in school. But this interview, I learned a lot about Suzie. Her life was not stereotypical. And like I said at the end of last week's episode, when you have an expectation that someone is cool and then they turn out to be cool and fun and engaging, and they're interested in having a back and forth, it's a great feeling. And I love conversation, but I don't think I've ever hung out with people for the purpose of conversation. And so in these instances, it's something that I really kind of noticed. It was a fun hang. And in addition to just high school and whatever I thought I knew about Suzie is actually really, really supportive of just some of the stuff that I've been doing on Instagram, particularly with some of my debate memes that I do during the debates. And so if you guys are actually watching the debates and you just like to laugh because sometimes it's a little hard to take it so serious, check it out at REDSHIRTPLAYA, PLAYA on Instagram. Suzie likes it. Some other people like it. So that's actually how I kind of had such a comfortable, I think, relationship with Suzie. And I guess maybe it shows in this interview that we do have a back and forth, and I do know that she is such a nice and supportive person, and just great to have a conversation with. I mentioned the social media for me, but for the show, We Weren't Friends in High School on Instagram, WWF in High School on Twitter, and you can get this podcast everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you get podcasts. Seriously, if you can't find it on your podcast app, let me know. I'll get it there. All right, I'm going to stop rambling, and so I'll just shut up about it, and I'll let you guys hear a little bit about Suzie Spinelli. Enjoy.
Cool. I'm excited.
So, Suzie, what's your last name now?
Spinelli.
Spinelli.
Yep.
I think you're the first new last name on
first
the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's cool.
Yep.
So you are a person, I think, that when I think about like you in high school, that I could, in fact, I probably did, because I have a funny story about that. And that I think I looked at you as a certain type of person, right? And full disclosure, I think that is like, I don't know, popular, very cool, kind of, I don't know, up here.
Oh, that's so funny.
And the best example I can give, and I hope you've seen the movie, Superbad.
Yes.
When there's a moment when like Jonah Hill and Michael Cera are like interacting with those 2 girls that they kind of have crushes on. And they're like, I think she comes over to her. The girls come over to one of the kids' houses.
Yeah.
And he walks over and he's like, what the fuck is she doing here? And there was a day when you came over to Ray's house.
Yeah.
And it was you and Ray and Scott.
Yep.
And I came over and I just remember thinking, what the fuck is Suzie Mullett doing here? Are we doing this? Are we hanging out? Are we sitting in the living room with Suzie Mullett? Like, what the fuck's going on?
Oh my God, I love that. That's sweet.
But it was like you were so, it's like just, you were so cool and fun. It was like, oh my God, like that's what I would hope she would be like, you know?
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So that's
it's so funny because for me, you know, in high school, I felt like, I don't know, I was like friends with everybody. I don't even think it was like you like pictured me. You said like up there and popular. And I didn't picture myself like that at all.
Really?
No, not at all. I didn't really have like a certain clique I would hang out with. I feel like I was friendly with everybody. I don't think, you know, I didn't dislike anyone.
Yeah.
I talked to everybody. I didn't think I was better than anyone. But I don't think I had friends in other grades and I had friends in our grade, but, you know, and I still talk to Brianna and Elisa, you know, they're on a nice group chat and they were like, so I wasn't going to tell them, I was not going to tell them that I was coming on this because I wanted them to like see it on Facebook or something. And you blew it. I told, before I went to California, I was like, Mom, I'm not telling Chrissy. I'm not telling. I said, I'm not telling Brianna because when we started seeing your podcast, we were listening to them and we're like, this is awesome. Like, this is so great. And they're like, oh, I wonder if he's going to ask me to be on. I wonder if it's this. I'm like, that would be so cool. And then, you know, you reached out and we were talking because I loved your Instagram stuff. Like that always cracked me up. It was so good. And so I was like, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to wait and like have you post something and then be like, holy shit, you got on it, Suzie. And I'm like, yeah, I got on it.
See, I gotta start doing it. I gotta start keeping it quiet now.
No, you're cool.
No, because I can appreciate that so much. That's how it started in the beginning because no one knew it was happening. Yeah. So for the first, like these first few weeks, no one really knows who's on the podcast because I did them months ago. Right. And so now it's kind of, I got to keep that up.
No, it was cool. So I got like a group text because me, Elisa, and my sister and Brianna are on it. Like 25 text messages. And Chrissy called me, you gonna go see Brad tomorrow? And I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, how do you know this? Brianna. And I'm like, oh man. So I didn't answer any of them yet. So they'll see this.
So then I'll let you know then she's coming probably next weekend.
I'm sure she is.
Or in 2 weeks.
I'm sure.
So this will be different where I have like two actual friends back to back.
Yes. And she's one of my close friends. Brianna and I, man, she's like, I love her. She's a really good friend. So her and I she's probably my closest friend from high school that we've stayed friends through the whole time. Yeah. You know? And I still occasionally talk to like Jeff Pan.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Do you remember him? Yeah. And Javier, I saw in Miami a couple times. So funny.
Everyone mentions Javier. Like everybody. Everyone's got a memory or some sort of like hangout run-in with Javier. That's really funny.
He's such good people. And his sister like does amazing in the city too.
See, that's what I always go to.
Mm-hmm. She's awesome, man. She's like living it and kicking it and doing her thing. Like Hip City Veg is great. Yeah. But yeah, in high school, that's the thing. Like I remember I'd hang out with Hav and Nicole and you know, I'd hang out with some people that were older and I don't know, I never considered myself like anything, not even close to being popular. I just liked hanging out. And it was interesting because Chrissy and I, you know, were like the Mullett twins, right? So like we had similar friends, like, you know, like Kevin DeProsperous and that whole crew. And, you know, Chrissy hung out with, you know, different groups of people and I did. But we all kind of merged. So it's weird. Like I was saying this the other day. I'm like, I feel like I don't remember a lot of stuff from high school.
Really?
Yes. Like I remember like certain things, but then, you know, Brandon and Elisa remember so much more. I'm like, when did that even happen? I'm like, I don't even remember any of that. They're like, you don't. Like Brianna's going to give you a great show because she remembers everything.
When you've been in Wissahickon, you started in kindergarten the whole time?
So we started in kindergarten. We went to Bluebell. Okay. And then we left Bluebell in third grade. End of third grade. And we moved to Jacksonville Beach. And we went. Mm-hmm. And so we went and Ponte Vedra Beach. It's really beautiful there. And so we were there. My dad worked for Merrill Lynch. They had a office down there. They were opening. It might have been already open, but we moved down there and we were there for 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. And we came back in 7th grade. We moved back to Philly. Yeah.
Why? How did that happen that you came right back to where you?
So my dad, when he worked for Merrill Lynch, he missed Philly a lot, but he was also a pretty raging alcoholic. Oh. So when his peak of alcoholism was there. So when he ended up going to rehab and his job got kind of put on hold and he didn't know when he could go back to work. And he ended up having one of his, really good bosses from up in Philly say like, Mike, I'll give you a job back, as long as you're sober and you're good, come on back. And so we did. Wow. And that's how it worked out. Yep. And
so
he was
7th grade.
Yep. So 7th grade, we came back and we lived in that house. I don't know if you ever were at my house.
No.
It was off Hillcrest. It was in Lower Gwynedd. That house was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was awesome. I love that house. We were so bad, man. Like, I don't know, now that I'm a parent and I think that, you look at like what you did and I don't know, my parents just lived in this denial, like, oh, they're not doing anything down in the basement and, out by the pool. Like we would drink all the time and, it wasn't until like later high school, but we'd have parties and people would be over and be smoking weed and they just like, they didn't know. And then sometimes they did, but I think they're just like, well, you're here. They never would say that, right. But
better than sneaking out somewhere else.
Yeah, I think they liked that we were there. So, but we had a blast at that house, man. When my mom sold it, I got why she did, but I was so sad. I was like, oh, I want to bring my kids to the pool here. It was such a good house. But now she lives up the street from me, my mom.
Oh, really? Where are you living now?
I live in King of Prussia. I bought a house out there in 2012.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been there a while.
I've been there a while. Yeah. Yep. So I've been there a while.
So you're a twin.
Mm-hmm.
That's super unique.
Very
especially
unique.
For this podcast, maybe one of only 2 sets of twins that could be on this podcast.
I know. The Novaks?
Are they twins? Jeez.
Right?
One of 3. Man young and man son.
Oh, yeah.
So 3. Wow. That's kind of weird to have 3 sets of twins.
We got 3 sets of twins.
Wow. So I was going to ask in my head, as I'm screening questions in my head, I go, so how long have you been a twin?
Almost 37 years.
Yeah.
We turned 37 on Monday. So yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yep.
What was that like growing up? One, with a sister, because I know the dynamic is different between brothers. I'm an only child, so I know the dynamic between sisters and brothers can be different.
Yeah.
And I think most of my friends had sisters, and so that's what I would experience. One, having a sister, but then a sister who is in the same grade, a lot of the same friends, not just high school when you're maybe a little bit easier to deal with, but when you're 10, 11, that seems tough.
I mean, I think growing up, when we were younger too, we were really close and we had different friends. I mean, in high school, I think from like freshman, sophomore year, we'd bicker more. I'd steal her clothes and she'd get so pissed. Like it's that kind of shit. It would be always me too. I would be the one, I'd come downstairs and she'd be like, why are you wearing my shirt? She'd get so, that's like what was our biggest disagreements, if anything. But it was great. I mean, she was in more honors classes than I was. Chrissy did really well for herself. She had really good grades and I kind of just skimped by with like a 2.4. Like I was a good student. I got better as I got older, but but it was cool. Her and I are in high school. We were tight. We would have our bickering moments, but I liked it. It was great. We're all close. My sisters and I are all really close because I have in Pinks, or Jackie, we call her Pinks, is she's 5 years younger than us.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's funny. I feel like I never knew that you had other sisters until do you just have one or do you have 2?
No, it's just Chrissy and Jackie.
Okay.
Yep.
I never knew you had a younger sister then until like Facebook
Yeah.
Years later.
Yeah.
But that's a big gap. So you guys were like out of college before she was even in high school.
And I remember I'd go home and I was like a freshman at Westchester And I'd go home and Jackie's like a freshman in at Wissahickon. She was like rolling a keg into our basement. I'm like, what are you doing? I just like found out what a keg was. And like, you're a freshman in high school. And I was like, oh my God, my parents are like gonna kill her. They didn't find out, I guess. Maybe now they know. Now they know.
Word's out now. Personality wise, you guys did. I always thought that Chrissy was quieter.
For sure.
And I don't know if this is a horrible comparison just because of the connotation,
It's
but
fine.
you know, if you were the Hilton sisters,
Yep.
you were Paris and she was Nikki.
Yeah. She, I think Chrissy, you know, now I think she may have come off quieter, maybe, but she's funny. She's real witty and sarcastic. She can like keep up. It's hilarious. But me, I was definitely, and still am pretty outgoing. She's outgoing. She's really outgoing too. We both teach at Westchester.
Really?
So I teach one night class. I'm teaching tonight, and she teaches almost like 4.
Wow.
She's an adjunct professor there. And so sometimes we cross students and they all say like, you guys are exactly alike.
Really?
Because we talk alike. We use the same hand mannerisms alike. We're really high energy. And, but in high school, I think maybe she was like, came off a little bit quieter. Sure. Yeah.
When you were through, did you have like, one of the themes that I kind of like always drum back to is that I felt like my friends in elementary school was a little more well-rounded. You're just kind of friends with everyone. And then this idea of like, once you get to middle school, that kind of like changes. Did your friends change as you went through elementary school to middle school? Well, I guess you moved. And so you came back.
Yeah, it was
Did you
weird.
pick up with the same friends again?
Sort of, kind of. You know, I was friends with Alyssa Malley for a really long time. And I knew she was friends with like Ray and Scott and all of them. And, but her, you know, it was weird. You know, I was friends with her when he came back. And then, you know, I kind of became friends more. I mean, Chrissy met Brianne first. And, you know, Amy Jaskowiak was a good friend that Chrissy had in elementary school. And then she came back and they were still like bestest of friends. And, you know, I was friends with her too. And Laura Byland, you know, we all lived up the street from each other. So there's friends I knew when I left and came back. But then in high school, it just like, you know, I don't know. It was, we still did keep friends, you know, the same friends I had. But I just, like I said before, I feel like I just talked to I was friends with like a lot of people, but not like, you know, there's some set friends that they were like tight. Like they were like a 4-some or a 5-some, or like those were their boys or those were their girls. And I kind of had that, but kind of not. So, you know.
What do you mean kind of had? Kind of not?
I kind of like, I mean, looking back on that now, I kind of had like Brianna was like a solid friend of mine for a long time, and still is today. And same thing with Elisa, you know, and those like Italian girls and Maria and all of them, you know, but Elisa and I stayed really close. And so there's friends like I would always have in my mix, you know, but as we, you know, some friends just I don't even talk to anymore, but I was friendly. And if I saw them right now, I'd be like, let's go get a beer. Let's go hang out. Like,
yeah, I guess that's kind of like the, what led to like the show being, we weren't friends in high school, because I look at it as like, well, I didn't have problems with everybody, but I had, I don't know, I guess, and I probably took it more personal. For instance, like you mentioned, like you had parties or you have like friends down there. And I think I saw that everywhere and my friends didn't do that. And I didn't know what the in was to get into those groups or to get invited to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I look at like when you say you didn't, you know, you kind of talk to everybody, even those people, I think I kind of was like, I talked to them, but what did that, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a shame, I guess, in a way. Like,
I think it's normal. I think, you know, like I'm a teacher, like I see it all the time, you know, I see it differently now though. I mean, but I also teach in the city and my kids are a lot different than like suburban kids, and it's smaller too, right? So like I have 600 students in my school where we had like 350 in our grade, you know? But yeah, I see it, you know, there's certain friends and cliques groups that, you know, my students talk to, but it is more even keel. It's not as like, I don't think for where I teach, I don't think it's as popular. You know, there's definitely the athletes that are looked at a little bit higher, I would say, in my school. But other than that, you have your friends and they're so confident, man. Like I'll give that to them. Like in high school, you know, I think I had confidence, but I also lacked it. I had,
Really?
self-esteem issues. Oh yeah, for sure. And you wouldn't know it. I was really happy, outgoing and stuff, but everybody's got their own thing. But my kids, like that I teach, they love themselves. Like I give it to them. Like I wish I was like you. Like you are amazing. So they have their confidence along with their other shit, but I give it to them for sure.
As a girl, I'm very fascinated in like the idea of like girls in high school because I think I don't know. I guess I will find out more about different guys who had different lifestyles, but I know nothing about girls because I didn't really hang out with any girls in high school.
Girls are mean, man.
That's the gist that I'm starting to get.
Yeah, girls are mean in high school. They're petty and and especially with social media too. It's like they can just be so mean, and they can put something on, Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, and it can totally ruin someone else. Yeah. Most of our issues at like my school is like bullying is all girls. There's barely any boys. Nope. Not at all.
Is it physical at all with the guys and then done?
Sometimes. Like they play fight and stuff like that. And that's real annoying because you just don't know if they're being real or not. You can sometimes pick it up. But yeah, the girls are still more physical than the boys. Yeah. That I've noticed.
Did you have like conflict in school? Were you like...
No. Oh my God, no. I hated conflict. I still hate conflict. I hate, anything to be like issues with anyone else. I don't think I had any conflicts. I didn't date anyone in our high school either.
So
I never had boyfriends in our high school. I always dated boys like outside of not really, like a little bit, but not really.
I was wondering when you said, because when you said like you kind of hung out with some older kids and like that's in my head, the girls that you mentioned, I knew that you hung out with, but I don't remember necessarily like you hanging out with this guy, that guy from school. And so that's what I was wondering. Were you like older kids or was it just kids in other school districts or?
So no. So when I was a freshman, I remember we hung out with like Christian Woodland and all those guys. And that was fun. And we all, it was so Chrissy dated Christian for a long time. And so that's how we all became friends. He was actually my first boyfriend. Really? So yeah, when I was in, I think 7th or 8th grade, we were like boyfriend and girlfriend for a week. And it was awesome.
This is before he dated your sister.
Yes, correct. That happened a couple times. It was real fun. It was, oh man. So I dated Justin Hammond for, like a couple weeks, and then he dated Chrissy for like a couple years.
Wow.
It was fun. It was great.
That's so funny.
It is funny.
It's very twins. It's very sweet, very high-ish.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, there's no hard feelings. We weren't like fight about it. It was
really
no, we really didn't. I mean, I didn't date them that long, and that was kind of like my thing in high school. I was very indecisive about liking people and kind of private. I'm so glad we didn't have social media in high school. Oh my God. And I dated, a couple guys from like PW, and that was it. And I hung out with those, those friends in high school a lot too, like in my junior and senior year.
Yeah.
So in Upper Marion too. So I dated a guy in Upper Marion. I hung out with his friends, and so that took up a lot of my high school time too. But never, I try not to date people, and it was Wissahickon.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it was too small.
It was too small and it was too chatty, man. Like it was, I don't know. And I think I liked that distance. I think I liked that separateness. I didn't have to see them every day. I could do what I want, keep things private. And I did.
How do you do that? Do you, is it that like you're going to a party somewhere else or like, we're 15, 16, you start finally getting your driver's license. Is it that I'm just going to go drive out here to this town or this town and hang out with this guy or go to this party? Like, where do you meet people?
Yeah.
Like I mean, I
met them through like mutual friends. So I remember like one of Briannon's mutual friends who became one of my good friends, Jen Becerra. She knew, a friend of hers in PW. And that's how I met a whole bunch of these guys. And they were awesome. They were so funny. And they were a year older than me. And that's how I met, my boyfriend Jay in high school. And I met Andrew, my boyfriend in Upper Marion, on the beach in Sea Isle. So that was cool.
See,
it's just you meet them out so organically. It's awesome. And now it's so different meeting people. And yeah, so that's how I would, go out and meet people. And I love that. And to this day, I still love meeting people like that, and my friend groups now are so diverse and I love it.
That's cool. You're social. Really cool. You're a very social person.
I am a very social person. Yeah. I try to be, but I don't go out that much anymore because I got 2 kids. Yeah. So
you got real life going on.
I like going away to this last weekend, going to my friend's wedding, Kyle and Matt. It's like what I look forward to like the whole summer. I'm like, I cannot wait to get. And first time I was ever in California.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was beautiful and it was amazing. And we flew into San Fran and got a car and got an Airbnb and it was so shitty because it was so beautiful, but it's so shitty because it was in Calistoga, which is like, I don't know if you've ever been, but beautiful town in Napa. But they cut off the electricity to like prevent fires from happening.
This is the season, right?
Yeah. So like you hear all these generators and I get to like Kyle's rehearsal dinner. I'm like, how you doing, babe? And he's like, I'm hanging in. Everything's good. Like, everything's running on generators and people came in and like, they don't have electricity. They can't blow dry. For the guys, it's not a big deal. For the girls, it's like a pain in the ass. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but we stayed in Santa Rosa, which was 25 minutes south and we were good.
Okay.
All of Santa Rosa smells like weed. By the way,
it's all it's all legalized.
That's all.
I find Northern California to be heavier in the smell than Southern.
Yeah, our Uber drivers were cool too.
Yeah,
they were interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so funny. It was your first time in California.
First time in California was awesome. It was really cool.
Did you travel when you were a kid?
We did, but we would always go to like tropical areas. So we would go to like Puerto Rico, Mexico. We would go to Florida a lot. We had family in Florida. So when we would travel, it would be mostly like tropical vacations more than anything. We weren't like skiers or anything like that. We went to Alaska on an Alaskan cruise one time. So I was out there. That was pretty rad.
It's like one of my dream trips.
It's one of my dream trips because I went when I was 16 and you don't appreciate, or 15 or 16, and you don't appreciate it like you would, now.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
Oh, that's
looking
so
back.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wish I could go. I want to get there so bad.
You should. It's badass. You see glaciers and that was cool. Even being 15 years old and, having a boat go right up against a glacier, you're like, this is awesome. It rocks though, man. It's like, like on a cruise line.
Oh, so look at my face. Like I'm so.
I know you want to go right now.
I know. I feel. It's one of those like everyone says, Brad. It's not like a hard trip. Just go on a cruise and go to it. But like I don't know. Like,
we went whitewater rafting. It was bad. It was
cool.
nice. It was really cool.
That's so cool. Do you get to travel now? Is it just?
It's really hard to travel.
Saving up for Disney.
Yeah. Yes. I really am saving up for Disney.
Yeah.
I've got a funny story about that. Some people don't like to go to Disney. And I'm like, who doesn't like to go to Disney?
I like Disney.
I like Disney. I think people don't like crowds.
I mean, so it's very different. So I went to Disney World with family, kids, all that. My first 2 times going, where you go to Magic Kingdom, you wait in all the lines. The last like 2 or 3 times I've gone with older friends my age, where it's like, sure, rides, but also let's go to the bar. Let's spend a full day at Epcot just kind of drinking. Let's just hang out.
Yeah.
If there's a long line, whatever, we can come back to it later. Fireworks, great. Let's go to the rides now while the parade's happening. The kids are all busy.
Yeah.
So it's very different. I love it as like with grown-ups. It's such a fun experience.
It's such a fun experience. My neighbor goes every year. And I think she's actually about to go soon. She might already be there right now, actually. But yeah, I am saving for Disney. I would love to go. It's funny because she's always says like, I do not like fun. I'm like, come on. Like we went to Dutch Wonderland with the kids.
Yeah.
In September. And that was like she's like, I don't like fun, Susie. Basically, she just doesn't like waiting in lines and, paranoid about all these people and germs and shit. And I'm just like, let's just go. It'll be fun. Come on. And we did. And we had a great time. But
we always like throw caution. It seems like throw caution to the wind. Just do it. That was like kind of your style. And
yes. And even with kids too, like, you know, I don't know, you become a parent and you got two different types of parents. You got parents who are helicopter over them and, you know, they got hand sanitizer in every pocket of their car and bag and stuff. And, you know, that's not necessarily me, but I watch out for my kids a lot. But we go and do stuff and I love the shit out of them. And yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Do you have a favorite class or teacher from school?
I do. I would say Miss Messa was one of my favorite teachers.
Well, great.
She was a health and PE teacher. That's what I do. Yeah. So when I think I had her in like 10th and 11th grade, and I had Miss Call a couple times. And Miss Call was cool, sort of. She kind of was a hard ass.
Yeah.
But I loved Miss Messa. I'd go to her about like a lot of, you know, female questions, and she was super supportive, and I felt like I could just talk to her, and I really liked that. And when I remember I went to Westchester, and I would, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to communications first at Westchester. You know, I'm social, I talk, I could do this, you know, I could talk to anybody. I don't mind public speaking, like it's fine. And then I remember I got really into health and really into fitness, and all my sisters did, eventually. Like Jackie's a nurse, Chrissy's works in public health, and I'm a health and PE teacher. So, but yeah, I remember at Westchester, I was like, I really liked Miss Messa, and I really hated gym class in high school, like hated it. But I loved health class.
What did you hate about gym? I
just hated like playing badminton, or I didn't like running the mile. And I run today, and I still hate running, but I'll do it, you know? I just didn't like getting changed. I remember, all right, if I miss 2 classes, I'll still get a C, which was so stupid looking back on it. But I'm like, you know, I got all my makeup on and clothes. I was like, I don't want to get sweaty, and it was silly. But so it was funny when I went out in Westchester, you know, and made my major kinesiology, and I loved it. It was awesome. You would take classes out there. You know, you'd take like net wall games, invasion games, and you take all these health classes, kines classes, anatomy classes. You know, people think it's like, oh, you're just a gym teacher. I'm like,
there's more to it.
There's a lot more to it. I would love for you to come teach about chlamydia and gonorrhea next week.
Yeah.
Coming up.
I remember that we would have like 9th grade health gym half the semester.
Yeah.
Or half of the like the marking period would be like sex ed.
Yeah. I remember we had like 11th grade health with Miss Messa, and I just loved her. She was I love the way she taught. Her class was so interesting. To me, it was. And I loved it. I loved her. And when I went back, when I was at Westchester, I came to see her a couple times at Wissahickon just to like observe her. We had to do like a ton of observations and stuff. So I observed her like quite a few times and how she taught and her classes and stuff like that. It was awesome.
So she made a mark.
She did. She made a mark. And it was interesting because she also, you know, I remember I'm like, so you teach half the year this? She's like, some years I just teach health. Some years I just teach PE. And yeah, it's hard. Man, it is hard getting a health and PE job in the suburbs too. Oh my God. It's hard to get any kind of teaching job out near where we grew up. It's a lot easier in Philly. And I've been in Philly for 13 years teaching here.
I didn't even know you were teaching here in Philly.
Yeah. So I've been at Prep Charter High School for like 13 years. Wow. I love it. I love my kids there.
Do you take any lessons from when you were growing up in high school that ring true today for you?
That's a good question. I think for me, you know, I try to tell my kids, because like I said, I graduated with like a 2.4 and I got into Westchester, but I had to go to their summer program and stuff. I think and I love learning now, and I loved learning like when I was a senior. And so one of my biggest things, like I try to tell my 9th graders, is like, you're setting your GPA up, like work hard. And especially for my kids, that's their like way out, you know? Some of these kids have never, they'll be the first one to graduate from high school, go to college, they could get free rides. Like there's so many things and opportunities for them. Like this is their way. So like for me, I didn't take advantage of that. And I get it. Like you're in high school. there's certain things you get like sidetracked with, right? So like if I could tell my old self, like, get your shit done, work hard, you can go a lot of really good places. And especially for my kids, like it really is like it can be a saving grace for them. Because like one of my, and he'll listen to this, one of my students, Derek Cheeks, who I love, he just graduated. He got a full ride to Lock Haven.
Wow,
and
that's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. And he was like president of his class, and I love that kid. And he's like a perfect example. Like he worked his ass off, and he, is now in college and loving life, and he's doing awesome. And he's like, we've had kids get full rides, one got a full ride to Penn. So, I mean,
that's great.
It's huge, awesome. Right?
Yeah.
College is ridiculously expensive. I look at my own kids and I'm like, I don't even know if college might be right for them or not. I want them to be happy. I want them to do something, but it's so, it's easy, 30 grand a year. Just a state school.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
When I talked to Danielle, we talked about like tech school and that was kind of one of my points was back then I felt like there was a stigma with tech school and if you were going to tech school, it was strictly so you could just get out of school for half the day and stop taking regular classes. But I really do wish that back then someone had kind of like pushed me to at least learn a little something because it's so valuable. And nowadays when we were coming up out of high school, it was the internet. And real estate. And now we've seen both of those bubbles burst.
Oh yeah.
And tech is back on the rise again.
It's huge.
But anyone that knows stock, that talks about, man, these companies are just over evaluated and it's going to crash at some point. And I wish again I had something, to back up a skill that with my hands that I could make 30, 40 an hour at least.
I know they make so much money.
Yeah. So that's cool that, that you recognize that.
Yeah, for sure.
That it's not just college because that's not everyone. I was really scared.
Yeah.
About going to college. I didn't.
Where did you go?
So I started at Monco.
Okay.
And I got my associates there.
Well, you save a ton of money, man.
I just didn't know. And I remember when I look back in the yearbook and some people, I can see the conversation. People say, hey, Brad, good luck. And they go, hey, where are you going? Because they want to write it in the yearbook. Good luck at wherever. And I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Undecided, whatever. And they go, all right, good luck in whatever you decide to do. Because I didn't know. I wanted to go to Temple, but I never prepared myself grade-wise to go there. And when I applied, I think it was like I would have had to do X, Y, and Z to maybe have a chance. And it was like, all right, I'll go to Monco. And that ended up being the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Even from like what I ended up doing, I was communications too.
Yeah.
But, at Monco, you were all hands-on with stuff. And then I transferred to Temple. Yeah. And everyone there in their junior year was for the first time just starting to touch equipment. And I've been doing it for 2 years.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but I didn't know that. And really through college, after college, even now, still trying to figure out exactly what it is that I think I want to do or can be. And with communications, it's always it could be this one day and this something, another day.
Yep.
But
for sure.
Yeah, I do. I wish I had sometimes that ability to just say, I'm going to do this.
Yep.
And I'm going to be good for 1 year, 3 years, 8 years, however long I decide I want to do it. Yeah.
I had a lot of my kids go to CCP, right? So, and they take CCP classes at their senior year. Some of them do, which is super rad. But going there 2 years before you get your, before you transfer to Temple or wherever, usually a state school, right? So, but it saves them so much money. Yeah. It's crazy, And Monco is really good. Like near us, it's like a really good community college.
Especially for technology or a trade. The nursing, the dental, I think is always like sold out there.
Yep.
I don't know what the word is for booked in college, but whatever sellout is, that's what it is there. And there's like a waiting line to get into a lot of those.
That's crazy.
A lot of those schools. Yeah. And I think it was the most technologically advanced community college on the East Coast.
I believe you.
They built that new building right on Morris Road and 202.
Yeah. That's like right where we grew up. So like near Normandy Farms, like our house was right over near there.
Yeah. You said that you wish that you had maybe taken it a little bit or try a little harder or taken it a little more seriously. What were you doing instead of, your sister was very,
she was,
studious. And so obviously, you talked about like you would party a little bit in your basement or whatever, but what were you generally doing in high school? Like what were your...
I think my thing, for high school, I was just too social, man. Like I would write notes in class instead of, I feel like we might've had the same social studies teacher. I know Scott and Ray were in my class.
In high school?
Yes. What was it? He was like an older guy.
Lazar?
Maybe.
9th grade, I had Lazar.
He was like 10th or 11th.
10th, I had Heppy.
I don't remember these people. Like, I feel like I have blackouts of high school, like teachers.
11th, I might have had Mr. Cairns.
I know Scott would know. They would arm wrestle. He was a real fun guy. He was like serious, but like...
Arm wrestling, I'm thinking of like Mr. Russo.
No, he was older. He was older. I don't know, but I remember I'd be in that class and it was like a CP class and I would just take CP classes because they were easier. And, and I remember I was just really social and would write notes all the time, before texting was like a thing. Yeah. I remember the first text message I ever saw, actually. It was Pete Stampone's phone on our Nokia phones.
Really? This was in school?
This was in school. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, texting. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I remember that vividly. Like, he was in one of my classes. It had to have been like junior year. Because we just figured, I feel like we didn't start texting until like college, really. I don't remember when that kind of happened.
I remember my first text in college, and it cost my mom like $9.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
So
I remember he was playing that like Snake on his phone.
Yes. And
then I remember he was typing something to someone, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm texting, I don't know, like a girlfriend or something at the time. And I was like, oh, what is that? And I still remember that to this day because I feel like that's all people do now is just text. They don't talk on the phone or anything. They're not phone talk. I mean, I talk, but yeah.
Do you have to deal with that now? Cell phones?
In school?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For my kids, they're not allowed to be on their phones, but like, they they always sneak it and they have the iPhone watch and they're texting there's only so much you can do, but they cheat all the time on their phones all the time, and that's the biggest thing that we have struggles with.
Did you have the two-way pager? Were you into that in technology? Remember the pagers were really big. That's what I remember.
Yes,
like Scott and
I
Ray
do remember. And you'd write like your little like I love you in codes like upside down. Yes, I remember I had one junior year. That was so funny. I remember my mom would and I get it now. She'd like laugh and be like, why do you want a pager? Like, you're not a doctor.
Yeah.
And, but we got them and it was great. I remember I got my first cell phone and I think it was junior year of high school. Sophomore, junior year? Yeah, junior year of high school. I was
going to say, so like when you were like, you're meeting up with all these, with these guys in different towns and then they're calling the house. I'm like, how does that work? Are they calling the house?
So they would like, so like I had my own phone in my room.
In your room?
Yeah. So I had my own phone in my room. So, cause I would talk on the phone like, and this is probably another reason why I didn't take school seriously. I'd be like on the phone all night till like 11, and go to bed and get up at like 5:45. I'd be like exhausted.
That's so funny.
It's so funny. And then I think I got my first cell phone in, I think it was like junior year of high school.
And was it huge?
It was a bigger phone, and it was like a little box phone, and there's this thing like this that came down like that.
Yeah.
My mom just felt like since we were driving, she wanted us to have a phone, and she got us, we shared a car. It was a Ford Contour, a white Ford Contour. That car. Oh my God. But, and then Chrissy started driving my dad's like old Cadillac to high school.
Oh, so you guys drove separate.
It was funny. Well, we got our license in sophomore year.
Wow.
We got it December. So we turned 16 in October 21st. And then we got our license in December.
Wow.
And yeah, we were driving everybody.
Can you picture this from my point of view?
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
Right. So here, this blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl.
Yeah.
Right. Driving her own car in 10th grade.
Yep.
Got a cell phone.
Yep.
Boyfriends that you've never even seen in the hallways. Like, that was you see that perspective,
I see that perspective. Yes. I mean, I was so naive. Like I don't look at it like that, but yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Did you ever I don't know, did you ever, even if you didn't think it was true, did you feel it? Did you feel like people, and I don't know this, that people ever, because I don't want to think about rumors or people saying this or that. I don't remember any hate towards you or anything like that. But did you ever feel animosity towards that or in any way, or it always felt cool from everyone? I know you mentioned a little bit of girls are mean and
I felt
and catty,
a couple I felt like maybe a couple girls in our grade didn't like me or my sister for some reasons, but for majority everybody.
It wasn't pressing in any way, or
no.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think back, and like I said, I didn't consider myself. I really didn't. I was I really consider myself a plain Jane. Yeah. It's funny. Really? I really did.
So wait, so you said you were up at 5:45. I can only imagine that was to do your hair and makeup.
Yeah, do hair and makeup and
for an hour 40.
But I mean, yes, but no. I would just make. I would pick out my certain outfits, and I was, I was really insecure if it didn't come off that way. I was, and I would wear lower cut shirts, and I was
so that's out of insecurity.
Absolutely, you know what I mean, to get attention, and I was totally like that.
Did you sometimes people regret the way that plays out? Did you feel like that was, nowadays in the Me Too movement when, did you feel sexuality being, you were a very pretty girl. So
thank you.
Still are. So
thank you.
Did you feel did it get weird? Did it feel weird? Did it feel at times oh shit, I shouldn't do that? Or
no,
it always felt safe and fine.
It always felt safe and fine.
You liked the attention that you were getting.
And I was, and with the Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff, I think there's, when you're young and you're, all girls have this insecurity about them. My students do, my girls do, that I see. And you like that attention from boys, and you're going to do things. I see it every day with my kids and what they do and what they wear and what they say. And, and they're flirting and they're hugging and they're all that shit. I'm I remember that from high school. It was yesterday, and I get it. And I got it why, I would do the things that I would do.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even think about things from the Me Too movement. I get it, respect it, but there's also that human, thing where you want attention from not just God, anybody.
Yeah.
So, and be liked.
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing is being liked and accepted.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you seem so you were so grounded.
I think I was. I think I've always been grounded, my sisters and I. We went through a lot, and but everybody's got their shit, man. Yeah. I remember, it was really funny because I remember one time, who came over to my house? Bethany. Mm-hmm. Bethany came over to my house, and I always pictured her as super popular. We had a couple classes together. We talked, and she was great. She came to my house and she was like, is it okay for me to be here? I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course it is. Why would you even say that? She felt like she couldn't come to my house or something. It was weird to me. And I was like, you're awesome. I feel like you're way more popular than me. I'd feel weird coming to your house, but she came to mine, and I thought that was kind of cool because, I don't know, everybody has their shit, right? And they, have their comfort zones with certain people and friends. I do feel like when we got to our senior year of high school, everyone was just friends with everybody. Yeah. I really felt that way amongst most people. Everyone just got along. I don't think there was I'm better than you kind of feeling for most. I think there still was definitely some popular people for sure, but not with mostly. I think everybody was pretty cool though. More mature.
A lot of people seem to, now that, everyone's kind of talking about it and commenting on Facebook and stuff, a lot of people kind of seem to be giving out that sentiment that they were, they felt like they were friends with everyone, or everyone was cool. And I still feel like I was a little bit outside of that bubble a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably more on me. I see it nowadays even. You have little riffs with people, or you get a side eye and you overthink it.
Yeah.
And then you think oh, they fucking hate me. I'll show them. I'll be fucking silent to them so hard. I won't talk to them for a week. And then you just like, well, now we just never talk because I didn't talk for, like it's
so funny because I feel like, high school shit goes into adulthood, and people still have their stuff that they are trying to deal with, and I think like as you get older though, just like less and less of that stuff just bothers you.
And it doesn't matter as much.
It doesn't.
And I think it took a while for me to learn that.
Me too.
Especially now, like when I talk to people and I'm just like, I felt like maybe we had like an issue and they're like, really? No. And not even denying that, not even to have the argument that there was an issue, but that it so didn't matter that right now, face to face, when we're talking about it, it's nothing that you even like, you just go like, oh, wow. Yeah, for like 15, 20 years, I thought that there was just, a dislike or a whatever. And
not
it's like,
all.
No, it's just like, that's just how it was back then, or that's how it was in that moment. And
it's really funny. Like, I remember I connected with Rishi in New York. I wasn't friends with him in high school. I didn't even know him. Like, I knew him, but I wasn't, he was in a lot of, really high, he's a super smart guy and super successful. And I remember like a couple times, like, I saw him in the Keys one time. I saw him in New York and we became friends. And
isn't that funny?
So random, right?
Isn't
like, I didn't even talk to you at all in high school, but I thought that's cool. Like, I love that kind of stuff. And I'm, even like on your Instagram before you even started this, like, I'd be laughing in my living room. Like, I love, because I watch, like the Democratic debates and the Republican debates and the stuff you put on there. I'm like, this is awesome. It's so funny.
That type of support.
I love it.
That, like, I love that you, a few other people like Alicia Conti.
Yeah, she's great.
Are, like, pretty vocal and like conversational. And I just like, it always kind of blows my mind. And I just go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, that's so cool. I think that they're a little second of their life and like interjecting into there and makes me feel good.
It's awesome. I feel like, no matter like if we were friends in high school or not, and I'm friends with everybody on Facebook.
Right.
But I wasn't tight, with certain people. But if I see something they're doing and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll let them know. Because I just think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like now that we're adults and older too.
To have the conversation,
and
be
with
able to
kids
have
and
just
stuff like that too.
And,
When you have common threads with certain people too, and you see that they're like at this place or doing something, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I might do that with my kids.
Yeah, especially if you have it in common, and
Yeah, for sure.
When you left, you said communications when you went to Westchester. But did you actually want to do communication? Did you like kind of grow up?
I didn't know.
Wanting to do anything, even if you weren't like working hard towards it. Was there like a thing?
I think like part of me always wanted to like do teaching, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to teach. I knew that in high school I worked at the Little Gym. Do you remember that place? It's in Springhouse.
Yeah.
And would teach like little kids gymnastics stuff and everything. And I liked that. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I really, and I went into Westchester undeclared, and I just remember, my mom, so September 11th happened, right? Our freshman year.
Yep.
And that was insane. And then September 17th, my mom had like a major surgery and she almost died.
Wow.
And it scared the shit out of me. And it was like, and I got really, so I never had anxiety before issues, but after that happened, I had a lot of anxiety issues because I almost like lost her. And she was like the rock of our family, right? She still is. She's awesome. My mom is amazing. And when that happened, I remember I had this shift in me where I was like, I just want to be really healthy. Like I don't want to ever have to like feel, like I would need to get a surgery or need to, I want to be the healthiest as I could possibly be. I think I lost like, by the time end of my freshman, people gain weight during freshman year of college, right? Like you start drinking a ton, and I did.
15.
Yeah, right. So I did, and by the end of freshman year, I remember that summer, Chrissy and I were home for the summer, and I worked like I think as a waitress at Rookies. Do you remember in Ambler?
I wanted to work there so bad.
So I went there and I got a waitressing job, and I think I lost like 15, 20 pounds. I just got in like really good shape, and I think it might have been like when I was 20, but yeah. So I just turned 20, and that was like huge for me. And then I remember, I want to do something like this for a living, like work with health, and I want to be a teacher. So I'm not really good at PE stuff, like, games or sports and stuff, but like I'll learn and I'll do it. And that's what I did. And I love it.
Wow.
And I love it now still. I mean, in my, where I teach, our PE program is good, but it's limited, right? So like we're in the city. I have a nice gym. My kids want to play basketball all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to teach them, things outside the box. Like we do like Zumba, and we do, which the girls like, and the guys are like, oh, Miss Spinelli, come on. But we'll do yoga, and we'll do like, I'm a big fan of like lifelong fitness, right? Like, so let me teach you things that you can do when you leave here. I remember we used to play, like badminton and these like random games, and I don't know, like lacrosse and field hockey. And those are cool,
right.
But it's not like I'm doing that in my 20s. Like I would love to know things I can do like when I'm in college, and different weightlifting things like HIIT exercises, stuff like that. So that's what I try to incorporate with my kids, that they learn lifelong fitness is huge, which are more high schools and are trying to get out of just like, let's play basketball, let's play soccer, let's play. So, because not everybody is good at competitive games.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're just not, but some people are really good at meditation and Pilates, and, it's just it's different,
Like, and you can't continue those a lot of times. Some of those are,
Yeah. You can join leagues, like there's softball leagues and kickball leagues, and that's cool. And that's still, there's, my kids love kickball. I still play it with them in school, and there's a place for that. But
yeah. Especially in Philly where there's not a lot of grass.
For sure. So we have this like little outdoor area at my school, and, we go out there and play, but it's, it's small. We don't have like a huge field we can go to or anything like that. So, because we're a smaller, charter school. We're a good charter school, but yeah.
Wow.
So, yep. Pretty cool.
So then from college,
yep.
Did you automatically start going into the teaching world
No,
right from there?
It's a good question. So I ended up doing recruiting. I couldn't find a teaching job. It was so hard to find a health and PE job. And there were health and PE jobs in the city. I think I just got a little nervous and scared to work in the city. It scared me. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And I just found a job recruiting. And I recruited for med staff and recruited nurses. And I did that for like a year. And then I decided to move to Miami. I was like, I just need a change. It was like I was turning 25. And I was like, I just want to go. And my friend Gina, who was like also a health and PE teacher, she wanted to change too. I'm like, you want to go? She's like, okay, cool. And so we went. So awesome. I was down in Miami visiting some friends, and she worked in recruiting in Miami Beach. And she was like, you'd love it here. It'd be awesome. I'm like, I would. And so I met with him, and I worked at this beautiful office in Miami Beach for almost a year. And Gina moved down with me, and she got a job teaching, which I probably should have done, but I didn't. I was like, oh, I'm going to work at Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Recruiting,
You're down there now.
Yeah. So, and my friend Shannon, who was in my major too, she moved down with us too. And we moved down, and my friend, Shannon, who's like one of my best friends, she stayed. She's still there. And Gina and I moved home after a little over a year. And then I got a teaching job at Prep. So yeah, so I did recruiting first, and then I found, and it was so random. It was like, there's a post on like Craigslist for this position. I know, right? It was so weird.
Craigslist?
But I think like we used to look on Craigslist for, it was
a little more legitimate like a decade ago.
Way back in the day, it was different.
Yeah,
so, and that was like 13 years ago. I can't believe I can say things like 20 years ago, which is so weird to me.
Especially when they're like technology, like Craigslist 13 years ago.
Like we're going to have our 20-year reunion next
couple years,
year.
Next year.
That's crazy to me. Yeah. So I'm like, what? I'm like not 30, almost 7. This is crazy. So, but yeah, so I ended up getting a teaching job, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And I love it.
That's great.
It is great.
So like how long in Florida?
So we were there for like a year.
Wow. That's so just like
it was insane. Let me tell you, like, I mean, I was 25, single in Miami. It was a good time. Like I do not drink liquor anymore. I drink wine. I drink beer. I do not drink vodka club soda because I think I drank enough for my whole lifetime while I lived in Miami Beach. It was a good time. We had fun.
I need to take lessons like that.
Oh my God. It was just because like nobody goes out there until you don't go out until 10. You stay out till like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Oh, it was insane. It was fun. Good memories.
Do you, I had a bit of a party time, like in my like 25, like 24, 25, 26 was like a party time for me. I moved not to Miami, but moved north where I used to travel then a lot every week.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know, I felt like it was I don't know, needed.
It is. You just have, I think that's the time in your life and you got to have the energy for it. You are so much more to meeting so many different people. You're making money now, sort of, you know, more than you got out of college. So like
swipe that card.
Yeah. It's like, I can do this now. I'm an adult, like real adult. I'm out of college.
I do want to double.
Yeah.
What is it? $13? I do want that.
Totally fine. And yeah, I think we all had that time. And then it got to a point where I think I was 27. 27 was a good year. I was living in Philly in Northern Liberties. And I was just like, I got to slow down a little bit. You know, I think you come to that point when you get to your like later 20s where you're like, let's slow it down, you know? And, you know, I didn't have my kid, you know, I didn't have my kids till I was in my 30s, you know, like I was 31 with Johnny and I just had Ryan when I was, 36. So I had my kids later, but I had a great time in my 20s.
I ran into you during that time.
Oh, you did?
You remember this? Yeah. You must have been living in Northern Liberties. Yeah, I ran into you at the ballpark at McFadden's.
Oh, I was probably so happy to see you.
You were so happy to see me. And that's up until today. That's the last time I saw you. And before that, the last time was high school, right? So, we had like the most incredible conversation.
Cool.
And I don't think I was living here then. I was probably just driving in from the burbs or whatever.
Okay.
And I remember a friend was like, you know the girl? I'm like, yeah, like this is always my answer whenever I'd see. I'm like, yeah, kind of. Like, I like know her. But like, you're like, she like really like into seeing you. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, no, she seems really nice. She's really nice.
I'm a really nice person.
Those were really happy days at the ballpark back in that era.
They were. That has been like in 2008. That had been
about that time. Yeah.
World Series time, man. I was down there. I remember going to the World Series. I remember going into work the next day. I didn't get home till like 3. And this was probably the first year of me teaching. And like every basketball, like bouncing in the gym, I was like, oh my God, my head is going to explode. I'm like, I'm never coming to work hungover ever again. God. And I did a couple more times, but not really. I was like,
learned your lesson.
Rough.
Yeah.
It's rough to teach and be hungover, man. But I remember leaving McFadden's and it was bad.
That's so funny.
Yep. It was good times.
Then you had kids?
And then I had kids.
You got married?
I did get married.
You had first kid and then married?
I had my first kid and so we got pregnant with Johnny after like 8 months of dating.
Wow.
So I'm like a walking oxymoron, right? Like the gym teacher, like safe sex gets married out of wedlock, right? Or gets pregnant out of wedlock, right? So I'm like, it's cool. Like it's so funny because my kids, at school are like, when are you having kids? Not like when are you getting married and having kids? Like, when do you have kids, Miss Spinelli? Like you're getting old. I'm like, all right, cool. I Miss Mullett at the time, right? So yeah, we had Johnny and then we ended up getting married and we had Ryan and now we're not married anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
It's all right. It's okay.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Divorce
is tough, man. It's like, there's different things in relationships, that happen and you try to make it work. And, we definitely, had a kid together and we really try to make it work for that. And we had another kid and they're awesome. And he's a super awesome dad and we're just different people.
Yeah.
So.
Do you find now that, I don't know, do you consider yourself single? Is that?
Not really.
Yeah. Is that, I don't know, is this like a new era to... Well,
I do have a boyfriend.
Okay.
So, but it's, you know, going out into, even like thinking about going into the dating world is really like petrifying in your 30s. It's hard to find, I think, quality people. I know I was talking to my friend Ben, who he just got engaged, but he was, you know, single for a long time. And he's, you know, when I was talking to him about, you know, he's one of my good friends, and just for a long time, I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, listen, like being single isn't bad. It's just, there's so many options. And that's what, like, you know, people are just, they don't want to commit, or they do. Sometimes it's really like, it's hard. And there's all these dating apps. Like my girlfriend's on these dating apps is like, insane, you know, the type of people they talk to, people that message you. It's like finding quality people can be hard.
It's tough. It's
really tough, you know. You know, my boyfriend, I knew him for a long time. We were friends for a long time. So, you know,
you got to skip that whole.
We got to skip that. Yeah, for sure. So, and he was out in Napa with me. So it was awesome. We had a good time.
When you were talking about meeting guys, like just, you know, being 15, 16, whatever, meeting these guys, then like that just, in my experience, and it could be because I'm 36 and so I'm not in that environment, it doesn't happen to me ever in that way anymore. It's all like either dating app or someone's got to say, hey, I have a friend of a, you know what I mean, a direct fix up or something.
It'd be so cool if like you could meet someone at like Wegmans, right? It'd be awesome.
So you tell me, I don't know, you tell me this now, because you're you know, not married, but you're dating, and so if a guy were to hit on you at Wegmans, is that?
I think that'd be so rad. I mean, I think it would be cool. I don't think like that type of stuff happens as much anymore. You know, I think if you see it, totally should.
All right, I need to just nut up.
I think
and
you
start
need to
doing
go
these
hit on
things.
someone at Wegmans.
I don't think there's even any Wegmans.
There's not.
In the
you
city.
Go Trader Joe's, maybe.
Trader Joe's, the spot, Whole Foods around here.
You could go to Whole Foods, but
that's that. You know, I always think then, and I feel like now, I don't know, my experience with women at times is like they're caught off guard. They're a little, I don't know, they describe themselves as introverts. And so they're like, when they're put on the spot, like right then, like, oh, I feel weird for like approaching in public, face to face, eye to eye.
I think for me, like, I think that'd be awesome. Like, I like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I think there's other girls out there that like that too. You know, it's like, oh, you're, you know, there you go. You're picking out awesome peaches. Like, you want to go out?
No, see, that's where like, it's got to be better than that.
It's got to be better than that.
In my head, I go, right, that's the line in my head that I say, and I go, she's gonna hit you if you say that. Like, that's creepy. You can't use that line.
I think it's like, you know, you just, you know, find something common. Yeah. And I've, you know, over the years, I think even when, you know, when I was married, like, you know, we had a good marriage for a while, but I'd still be out and you see people and you might have a good conversation. You still get attracted to people. You still have good conversations with people. You know, that's normal. And, you know, you just find those moments, but it doesn't happen enough. I think that's cool. Like and it's hard to meet people at like bars and stuff too, because, you know, I have 2 kids. Like, I'm not going out to the bars like I used to. And I don't drink like I used to,
right.
You know? I don't want to stay out until 2 a.m. I don't want to, you know, do those things. Like, I have to like raise kids the next day. It sucks being hungover and raising kids.
When I bar, I like to bar all the way.
Yeah.
You know? And that's horrible. At some point I was like, you know what? Like, going to the bar and hitting on girls, it's just like, it was becoming like a horrible combination. It was just like not, you think you're doing really well and instead you're just like, I feel like I do a better shot of like being at the bar, being seen at the bar, not approaching, and then maybe in a more sober environment, I can reapproach and be remembered from the bar for looking good at least.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, nowadays, so I kind of put in my head, like, I just stopped hitting on girls at the bar and just had fun at the bar. And I started enjoying myself a lot more. But now, and also it's the idea of when you're hitting on girls at the bar and then that's where you go to hit on girls at the bar.
Yeah.
You end up at the bar a lot to hit on girls. But it's not like you can just, girls are going to just start coming in. You're just kind of waiting. And meanwhile, you're just at the bar.
I know.
And that became a kind of, I don't know.
Gets dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous. And you just go, what am I doing? Or or you just go, you start like going, yeah, that's not really worth it there. That's not really worth it. And then you just sit at the bar and you come home and you go, what the fuck did I just do for 2 hours?
You know what the other thing is too? It's like, I think Philly is interesting, right? So like being out in California, like the number one thing I said, I'm like, people here are so nice. Like they're so nice. They were so approachable. You know, we got a rental car. I'm getting out of the rental car and, we were going to meet some friends at this hotel. They were like, yo, come in, you can shower here and then we'll go hit up a winery. I'm like, all right, cool. Awesome. Cause we just took this like 6-hour flight. And, I get out of the car and we take our luggage and the lady behind us is like, oh, you just got here. Welcome to San Francisco. I'm like, thank you. It's so nice. Like you don't see that in Philly. I mean, Philly people are kind of like to themselves. They're not, I'm super outgoing. I will talk to anybody and I love that, but not a lot of people are like that around here. It's kind of, I don't know if you see that, but
back in 2010, I moved to California for a hot second.
Oh, nice.
I was living down in wine country in Southern California in Temecula.
Oh, nice.
And I came back after like 3 months. And one of the biggest factors was just, it was too nice.
It was too nice for you.
I like being like, the other thing was the weather. I love the really like dead hot weather, the humidity in Philly. But with that, when people are in a bad mood, why they're in a bad mood because it's, the heat index is 112 and there's no air and like you get it. Or
right.
I just enjoyed that aspect. And like, in California, they're all like, hey, how are you? And it's like, just give me my burger. I just want to go. I don't want to know they all tell you their name at the drive-thru. I'm like, hi, I'm Pete. Welcome to In-N-Out.
Yep.
And you just go
was
like,
good.
yeah, it's like, Pete, we could have cut this short with like 3 less words, man. I don't care what your name is. Just give me my double. And I felt like a very East Coasty person. I felt like very fish out of water being on the West Coast.
It's interesting because people are really... they're nice and they're chatty and they'll spend 30 minutes talking to you about life if, that's what you get into, which I'm kind of like really all about. But
into life and talking about.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's, it's different out there. And so, here people are just a lot more
to the point.
Yeah, they're to the point. And I appreciate that for sure in certain, scenarios. But I've definitely, sometimes it's just too rough and I'm like, God, can you just be nice, man?
Yeah.
Like people are just harsh. And I don't know. It was nice to see that in California for a hot minute. They're really nice people.
I usually have like a week, maybe 10-day span to where I'm ready to come back.
Do you have family out there?
Yeah. So my aunt and uncle and my grandmother till she passed in the 90s were all in like San Diego area. So since I was a kid, my mom would take me out there every other year or so. Like they would either come here or we would go to San Diego.
Yeah.
So that was like my trip, every year would be going out to California.
And you had single mom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, my parents divorced when I was like 13, 14.
13, 14?
Yeah. But up until prior to that, I always lived with both my parents. They were together till then.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But my dad never came on those trips.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just your mom's
always
side,
just just me and my mom would go on those trips. And then so I always did that. And then as I got older, I had friends that ended up moving to Northern California. So I get to San Fran probably like once a year.
San Fran's awesome.
Love it. I was just
beautiful.
up there in September. I was at a wedding in Tahoe.
Oh, cool.
And
I saw pictures.
Yeah, and similar to like what you were saying like about like, guys needing to get ready and all that. We were camping.
Yeah.
And so there was like 2 rooms. There were 2 houses on the campgrounds, like actual houses where the families would stay with kids and all that. And I found out there was a shower in there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going in there. Because I'm just like freaking such a deep, you're like, guys don't care. And I'm thinking, because I'm just thinking like, I need a place to hang my salmon pants. And I feel
I gotta
like,
look good. Yeah,
I got to steam this out a little bit. I can't just
funny.
put this on. So yeah, I love, but San Fran's one of my favorite cities.
It's really, it's like the roads there are nuts. Like it's windy like everywhere in California.
Very hilly.
Very hilly. And it was, we went to, do you know where Dillon Beach is? Like, it's like north of San Fran. We had all this time before our flight yesterday. 2 days. We came home like a red eye on Saturday.
Okay.
And so we're like, let's go see the coastline. And so we did. And it was awesome. it's nothing like I've ever seen. But it's weird because it's like, it's like all, farmland, but I'm like, everything looks so dead. It's like, there's no green. I'm like, well, this is kind of boring. I'm like, all right. And then, you go a little bit further towards the coastline and you get into San Fran, which is like stunning. And you have all these mountains and, with the ocean, I was just like, all right, this is California. This is cool.
Yeah.
I totally see it now. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's great out there.
It is cool. Very nice. Super
hoping
nice
to get out
people.
there again soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you get back to the area at all? I know you see like you're friends with your friends still with lifelong with a few of the girls, but do you get back into the actual area out of King of Prussia, but back into like Wissahickon area? Do you go back to school at all, or do you get into like PJs? Or
I went to PJs this summer with Brianna and not for trivia night. We just went to go have some wine or something. No, not really. I mean, I go, my mom lived over there and now she doesn't. So I really just stay in King of Prussia. I went to PJs and, I don't know anybody anymore, and so like she goes and she knows like 10 people and some of them went to like Wissahickon or North Penn or Upper Dublin or whatever. And, but I don't really know anybody anymore. I sometimes will bump into people if I'm out that way, but I don't really. You
don't interact. You don't see.
No. Like even, I think I went to the 10-year reunion.
Yeah.
Were you at that reunion?
Nope. I've never gone.
No? Well, you have to go now to the 20-year one. You must go, especially after this podcast. You have to go
now, yeah.
You're friends with everybody.
I know.
But no, I don't make it out there. And if I was to see anybody, I'd be like, it was interesting seeing people at the 10-year one.
Yeah.
I think everybody was like really friendly.
So that would have been 2011.
Yeah.
Was that at PJ's or was that in the city?
It was. I forget where it was. It might have been somewhere in Ambler. I don't know where it was. Wasn't far. I don't know. It might have been in the city. I think Kyle Spees, Speeses did that. They organized. I think he had to because he's president or something like that.
Steve DeSantis was our president.
Oh,
and he was,
yeah.
But Kyle was definitely.
Steve DeSantis.
But Kyle was definitely, I think maybe even Paige, Kyle and Paige.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Would be our government.
Yeah.
And Rishi.
Yeah, Rishi.
Yeah, I think Rishi was in there.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I'll go to the 20-year one. I'm not going anymore after that, I don't think.
That's it? You shut it down?
I'm done.
You don't think? Well, it's like in 40 years, 50 years, it's kind of
like, I don't know I barely remember people, like anybody. Like I remember maybe 50 out of the 350, I swear to God. And I'm sure if I saw people, I would remember them. But like I was friendly with everybody, but I don't know. I'm like, cool, you were in our grade also. I have no idea.
I think I thought in my head I knew everybody. And then once I started doing the podcast and I started looking through the yearbook, I go, I don't think I know any of these people. And I go, how the hell am I going to find them?
Yeah, right?
I have no idea who they are. But that could happen with anyone.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, you'll have good interview. I can't wait. I love hearing them. They're funny. They crack me up.
I'm having a lot of fun doing them.
Good.
And I'm learning a lot. And I don't know.
And you got a yearbook.
I got a yearbook.
Yes.
Do you have yours? Do you ever look at yours?
I do. I have it in my living room, actually.
Really?
I do. I was just gonna bring it out the other day because you had on your show Danielle. And I was like, I feel like I remember her name, but I can't see her face. And so when I was texting with Brianna knows her and Elisa does too. They're like, I think I know who we're talking about. They're like, who has a yearbook? And I'm like, I think I got a yearbook, And I opened up the page and I was like, oh, I remember her. Yeah,
isn't that
totally.
so funny? Because it's funny until you're like confronted with it. You don't know, So like the fact that you guys don't know. So in my head, like I feel like I know everyone. I get very excited about seeing people though, but
yeah, I mean, me too. I was pumped to see you.
I was too, especially like these daytime. I've done a few of these now, like daytime ones. I like this. It's very different than like the 8:30 on a Saturday night.
Because you don't I didn't have school today, and I was like, and after school it's hard. I got to get my kids and stuff. So I was like, I can squeeze this in, and then I'll go pick up my son at school.
And it's great that you are familiar with the area of South Philly, and so you're
sure.
complete. Like I was a little like worried that you needed like you didn't ask it. Like I gave the address and you're just cool. Like, that was it. I did give her the address and you know exactly where to go. Yeah. You didn't have to ask about parking. Nope. Like you were all good.
No, I got a great parking spot too out front.
That's awesome.
I was surprised.
Yeah. Mondays, the market is a little bit shut down.
Yeah.
So here you are.
I know. There I am in all of my senior glory.
I need your signature.
Oh, yes.
Any of these pens, we'll see if hopefully one of these works.
I just sign my name?
Yeah, wherever you'd like to do. Some people sign their name. Some people put a message. You can.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to have to put a message. I love it.
This is so fun.
This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. It was great and especially like when you just took a trip and you just came back, you got to be a little jet lagged.
Oh, I'm exhausted. I am like dying, and I drank a ton of wine.
You just said that with so much energy in your eyes, though. You're just like, oh, I am exhausted. Like mom mode.
Mom mode. You just do it. You just do it and you keep going. And I was like, this is the perfect time. I dropped off Dave at the airport and I'm like, I'm just going to keep going because he lives in Virginia. So I was like, I'm just going to keep going.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out well.
I love it.
Thank you.
Well, come back anytime and hang out. And, if you, I know
grab
you don't
some
get
beers.
to. Yes,
it'll be fun
I
for
love
sure.
That.
I think that'd be
especially
awesome.
Since you teach not too far.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you to Suzie for just the fun conversation. I had a great time learning about her. Pretty cool that she's a teacher now. Also pretty interesting the effect that Miss Mesa had on Suzie in school and, her future. And even cooler that she was able to go back and learn a little bit more from her after high school. I also thought it was interesting, Suzie's own perception of herself. I think that's something that I'm finding is more and more common, that the outside perception of someone is not their own, probably including myself. So I don't know, something to monitor as the podcast keeps going on. But nonetheless, just really enjoyed the conversation with Suzie. And, thank you again to her for just, being so open and honest, just about her family and, the stories about the twin dating life. And we'll have to at some point get the other side of the story. Of course, we were talking about twins, and I hate leaving people out. We mentioned, of course, Chrissy and Suzie, Pat and Tom, Manson and Mannion, and there were actually another set of twins, Lizzie and Andy Black. I hate leaving people out, so I just wanted to make sure we give everyone their props. A lot of twins, but we will in 2 weeks be joined by Suzie's friend, Brianna Sujak, aka Brianna McQuaid. Brianna is someone I knew nothing about other than she was friends with Suzie. And so just kind of coincidental how this all kind of played out. I, again, didn't know that people talk about the show. And so I had invited Suzie, and like she explained on the show, she was keeping it a secret. And at the same time, Brianna had reached out just talking about the show. And so I said, hey, do you want to come? And it just kind of worked out that it was happening within weeks of each other. And so Brianna came over, I think a week after Suzie was here, and we hung out for a while. We got cheesesteaks and shot the shit, as they say. It's a good time. We cover a lot of topics, life, family, then, now, perception of yourself, just like in this episode. And Brianna, like Suzie, seems pretty grounded. She's a mother, and so we'll hear all about her life in 2 weeks. Brianna Sujak, aka Brianna McQuaid, will be my guest here on the pod. The social media, before I forget, I am at REDSHIRTPLAYA. The show is at We Weren't Friends in High School on Instagram and at WWF in High School on Twitter. I think that's everything. Subscribe, comment, start up, share it, tell your friends about it. Thank you to everyone who continues to share. Thank you to everyone that's like listening international. There's Israel, Jordan. There's like a lot of Australia, all over the UK is getting some random hits. So thank you to everyone who listens everywhere. If you're a Wissahickon student, some of you are. Some of you, I know exactly who you are. But others, I'd love to know if you were in Wissahickon or you're just finding the podcast. And I will see everyone on a Monday morning with Brianna and Sujek. All right. Later.